This is the fun part of what I get to do. Dave asked Tori Hicks and I if we would coordinate the emphasis in our conference on Imagine No Malaria. And both of us enthusiastically said, yes, we'd love to do that. Now, mind you, Tori has a mom thing she's got to do this afternoon, so she's not here to take part of this presentation, but she was totally responsible for the presentation that's out there on the table, including the continuous looping of the video presentation from United Methodist Communications. You're going to get a piece of that as part of what I do here, but I still want you to stop by the table out there that's labeled Imagine No Malaria, because there's some really interesting things on that video. The good news with that is that video is available to you then to take back to your local churches, where you can bring this to your congregations and inspire your people to get on board with Imagine No Malaria, if they're not already there. How many of you are already taking part in the Imagine No Malaria emphasis? Many of you already are doing that. The leadership team will be coming to you later with a proposal to make Imagine No Malaria the missional priority for our conference beginning next month, from June 1 through May 31, 2013 to 2014. And I enthusiastically urge you to be enthusiastic about your support of that proposal when it comes to you. I'm going to tell you why. How much imagination does it take to imagine no malaria? How many of you in here have or have had malaria? Two. I see two. How many of you in here have or have had malaria who got it in the United States? We got one. My father had malaria that he got in the United States. And in fact, when my dad was 6 years old, his family was farming in South Georgia, and that happened to be the time that the boll weevil struck South Georgia, as it did the entirety of the southern part of the United States. Basically wiped out cotton farming in that part of the country. And that's what my dad's family did. They were cotton farmers, and so they were about to starve to death and decided they needed to do something. So they decided they would move from the area where their farm was between these two famous towns in South Georgia, Willacoochee and Alapaha. And so they hitched up their team of oxen to their covered wagon and proceeded from there toward Jacksonville. And to do that, they had to cross through the Okefenokee Swamp. My dad got malaria when they went through there. They almost killed him, as it did many people in that time. To continue the migration story, they reached Jacksonville, and there they hit the paved road, and the oxen couldn't traverse the paved road; their feet wouldn't take it. So they traded the team of oxen for a team of mules, and actually did make it on down into Central Florida. Luckily for me, because that's where my dad grew up and met my mom, and here I am. So he survived malaria. But the fact is that only one person here was able to say, yes, I had malaria and I caught it in the United States. We don't have to imagine no malaria in the United States, because it's gone. There is no malaria in the United States anymore. That happened in about 1954. So it's been about 60 years now since we've had a case of malaria that originated here. It's an easy thing to imagine when you look at that history. But there is plenty of malaria still that we need to cope with in much of the developed world. Africa is a hotbed, of course, of malaria. We don't need to imagine malaria there. We need to imagine no malaria in Africa. And that's where we've been placing the emphasis of this campaign. Of course, it didn't start as being called Imagine No Malaria. It was called Nothing But Nets. Right, yes, right. And what does that mean, nothing but nets? Well, at least in part it meant that we were in league with the National Basketball Association in that campaign, along with other organizations. And, the nothing but net imagery was too hard to resist, so we didn't resist. Nothing But Nets was the program. But now the program has developed. It is much more than Nothing But Nets. Now we're talking about developing vaccines. There's no vaccine right now that's effective against malaria. It's a parasite, not a bacterium or a virus. And it's a more difficult problem to approach that way. But we're making strides. And even if we can develop a vaccine that would be even 50% effective, that would be a huge advance. We're also working on methods for eliminating mosquitoes, not just keeping them off bodies. And we're making some progress there as well with Johns Hopkins Institute University, along with other organizations that are working on those parts of the problem. But for the moment, our principal emphasis continues to be on distribution of bed nets that have been impregnated with repellent. The mosquito is the problem. In fact, I'm going to share with you a little song I learned from Bishop Bob Hoshibata, who's president right now of the General Board of Church and Society, which is significantly involved in this campaign. So you might want to stand up while we do this, if you're able to stand. And I'll run through it the first time, and then we can all sing it together. Mosquitoes, they fly high. Mosquitoes, they fly low. Mosquitoes, they fly everywhere. Mosquitoes, they fly no more. Mosquitoes, they fly high. Mosquitoes, they fly low. Mosquitoes, they fly everywhere. Mosquitoes, they fly no more. Wow. Thank you. Be seated. If you're as enthusiastic about this campaign as you are about that song, we're going to go far with this. Now, what is our obligation? What have we said we'll do? The United Methodist Church has said that over the next 8 years, it's going to raise $75 million. $75 million. That sounds like a lot of money. But let me tell you, we are already $40 million into that. We've got only $35 million to go. Yeah, that is a... Now, we're not expecting to raise that $35 million in the Alaska United Methodist Conference. That's the whole United Methodist Church. But what the leadership team is going to ask you to do is over the next year, starting tomorrow, is to raise $35,000 or $35 or $30,000. I don't remember now. It's written down somewhere. But you'll see it when the proposal comes to you. And it's each of our jobs to go into our churches and inspire our people to do that. I want to show you a couple of clips from some publicity material that's been made available to us from the United Methodist Communications Organization. You'll see this takes about 5 or 6 minutes here.
Just imagine putting your child to bed at night and knowing that despite all of your efforts, your child is not safe. I'm Polly Perez. Join me as we investigate the threat that is destroying a continent and the extraordinary efforts to catch a killer in the dark. life on the African continent, its exquisite beauty, the symmetry of new beginnings, and primal passings. This is Africa's rhythm, its texture, and across the land, its formidable realities.
We don't all forsake on the same day, but today is this person, tomorrow is another one.
Malaria kills more than 1 million people each year. Every 45 seconds, a child in Africa dies of malaria. This is an extraordinary effort to catch a killer in the dark. Each evening as the sun sets, a killer emerges, or rather a swarm of killers. Mosquitoes. Their bites will likely infect most of these villagers with malaria sometime in their lives, and far too many will not survive the attack. When the moon sends a wink over the village of Tikanko, just outside the city of Bo, Sierra Leone, it signals the end of the day's searing heat and the start of night's comfortable camaraderie.
My name is Paramount Chief Lukangbai Makabure.
The main news in detail.
In this rural community, Chief Makabure's radio is a prized possession.
President Obama has said
it's a connection to the outside world. But despite their interest in what's happening elsewhere, most of these villagers only recently learned that mosquitoes cause malaria, even though it results in one of the main reasons people are dying in this developing nation.
Secretary General called prudent planning.
When people became feverish and died, none of us knew why. It was some disease about which we knew nothing.
Fact is, in this area of Africa, most deaths in children under the age of 5 are caused by malaria. An educational campaign has begun to take hold. And now, the mosquito has become a feared adversary.
The mosquitoes are as old as we are, and they are everywhere. When they bite us, they bite the father, the mother, the children. We don't have medication for them. Then you die. So that is why we call it the killer's disease.
But tonight, Hawa Berry has a defense against the mosquito, a long-lasting insecticide-treated bed net. The children settle in for the night, as do the chickens. And Hawa breathes a little easier knowing that her babies are less likely to contract malaria. In fact, it cuts their chances by half. This bedtime routine is new to the family, and to most everyone else in the village. It took an unprecedented effort to make the net available to everyone. This is a day of celebration, because mosquito nets will soon hang in the homes of over 500,000 people in the Bo district. The campaign is the first of its kind, not because bed nets are being distributed, but because of the tremendous grassroots effort that has gone into making this happen. This community is achieving for itself what outside organizations could not. When the people have ownership, they are destined to succeed.
We went from village to village and talked to them the importance of the bed nets.
And malaria, kills. So we have told them that is the difference. We want to prevent. Prevention is better than cure.
The difference is the 3,700 local volunteers trained to go house to house, to educate, assist, and later return to see how the nets are being used. It's a far cry from simply handing out nets, which are sometimes resold, misused, or not used at all.
Sometimes people go to the bushes to fishing with the net, and we try to educate them not to do that. Then again, they use it as a shower cap. They cover their heads with it.
Compared to the larger charities addressing malaria on a global level, this is a relatively modest troop of faith-based advocates, and they are sparking a revolution that is genuinely showing results.
Before you go into their houses, most of them have started hanging up their bed mates.
The United Methodist Church's Imagine No Malaria initiative partnered with like-minded organizations, the government of Sierra Leone, and religious leaders in the district. But with so many players, it was not easy. Later on in the program, what it takes to cloak a community in bedna.
That is all that we want to say to you.
The unborn child can catch the disease from birth.
The bite of malaria doesn't have to kill, but only if you stop it. Imagine no malaria. Imagine saving millions of lives. A message from the people of the United Methodist Church.
Why, of all the fights we could have undertaken, did we take this one on? We can win this one. It's progressing so fast that what I showed you is already out of date. When we started this campaign, a child was dying every 30 seconds in Africa from malaria. In that report, she says it's every 45 seconds. Now it's every 60. We're already winning. We can win this one. Out on the Imagine No Malaria table, we've got a supply of these flyers. They're enough for you, each of you, to take home to your churches, enough to give one to each of your congregants. I'd like for you to do that. Take those with you. These have been supplied to us at no cost to us by the United Methodist Communications Organization. We might be the only conference that gets that benefit. Everybody else is having to buy their flyers or pull them down off the web and print them themselves. But I don't know, because we're such good people, I guess. UMCOM sent these printed and sent them to us at no expense to us. So make sure you get those, and make sure that you support Imagine No Malaria as our conference priority, and make sure you inspire your people to get on board, support this campaign. Not only with their money, but one of our partners in this effort is and has been the United States government. With cutbacks in government, they might bail on us, and we don't want that to happen, so you need to have your people contact our senators and representatives and say, stay on board. This is a fight we can win. Let's do it.
Thanks, Lonnie. Just to give you a perspective, the whole greater Northwest area is also involved in the project. PNW has committed $350,000 as a pledge goal, and Oregon, Idaho is around $150,000 they're shooting for. So this is all part of our whole area, Episcopal area, and if we all combine, we could probably get close to 500,000. So it really would make a huge difference from just our small Episcopal area in terms of the giving. So I hope you will take us back and really work on the pledges for our benefit. Incidentally, Polly Perrette, the NCIS person, is a United Methodist. She was in my old stomping ground, Los Angeles. She's a member of Hollywood United Methodist Church and did all this promotion for free, and just a great person to be behind this whole project. So another rock star beside Dan Wilcox we have. We have some announcements, and then Terry's going to actually lead us in our closing